Welcome to the baseballswing.com. Joe Colucci here with you, taking a look at Nolan Arenado, one of today's really elite players. Two-way player, good hitter, good fielder, very good fielder. And he's got some unique things going on in his swing, and he's really noted, as I have often pointed out in the past, for that kind of palm up move through impact and almost exaggerating it, um, keeping that top hand or that right palm skyward through impact. It looks to me a little awkward and manufactured. Obviously, it works. He's doing it for specific reasons, and I believe it has improved him as a player. My only concern with it is I see some younger guys looking up to him, and as they should, and trying to do this palm up thing to an exaggerated extent through impact, to a detriment even. I think it's important to recognize too. There's a lot of great swings, right? And this is one of them. But you look at Ken Griffey or Babe Ruth or Arenado or Manny Machado or Juan Soto. I mean, the list goes on. They're all doing something a little unique that's personal to them. In your journey as a hitter, I'm going to encourage you to experiment a little, try some things, and always rely on what feels best to you. And this obviously is a move that Arenado kind of somewhat perfected. Just because he does it doesn't make it right, nor does it make it wrong. In fact, I'm going to tell you it's not wrong. I make a lot of comments about it. I really should pipe down sometimes about guys trying to overkill this move, that right palm up through impact and holding it for an extended period of time. It can become problematic. That's the truth of it. At its core, it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. It's just when it starts to get manufactured, down at the cages, when I'm watching high school kids do this and college kids, to their detriment. And they're not doing the other 19 things right that Arenado's doing leading into this. So that's that. Well, let's dig in and kind of look at what he's doing other than just that palm up move. So he starts with a little bit of a toe touch, gets himself moving forward. And the one thing he does here is he moves a lot of weight laterally towards the target. Not a huge turn, but he is drawing back that scap just a little. But it is a wide land position. So that in itself creates pros and cons. But if you're going to land wide, Arenado is centered. He's in a great position here. Sometimes this restricts rotation. The more narrow you are, when you land like a Babe Ruth, you tend to maybe excessively rotate. But on the positive, this wide land position will create stability and steadiness. But it does restrict rotation a little bit. Anyway, after Arenado lands, he kind of continues to move, forward into the ball with a good positive move. Doesn't overdo it, but he's pulling that left leg off the ground, or his right leg, I'm sorry, his back leg. And he's creating a lot of momentum towards the ball. Okay, so even though he's wide, he hasn't stopped rotating. He gets even facing the pitcher at impact here with his chest and belt buckle. So he does a good job of rotating. I'm going to suggest to you guys, most guys from this wide a stance or land position might not have the flexibility to continue to rotate as well as he does. But since he can do that, he's okay, right? The other thing that kind of struck me here and has always struck me about Arenado's how down his head is and how focused he is on impact position and leaving that head there. If you get stuck, meaning you can't rotate anymore, your hands are going to flip over. If you excessively keep your head anchored and don't let it kind of go with your momentum, kind of like Arenado does, that's going to make you flip. Your right hand's going to turn over early. I think these are two reasons, because he is adamant about keeping this head down and on the ball so long, and because he lands in a fairly wide stance, the difficulty rotating, doing those two things, I think created the need to be palm up as a real have-to move for him. He probably rolled over a lot of balls prior to, focusing on this palm up. But he did that because I think he's pretty wide. It's difficult to rotate, although he does a good job of it. And when you're laser focused on keeping that head down like he is, again, not a bad thing, but your arms are going to tend to flip over because your body rotation is going to get cut off, and the arms and hands, if they're relaxed enough, will roll over. So again, this is, I think, the palm up thing with him is probably a byproduct of how he feels comfortable. He feels comfortable this wide. He feels like he gets a better view of the ball if he's really focused on keeping his head on it. And that led to some rollovers, perhaps. I think at this point, as dialed in as he is, he can go the other way. He can hit it. He can focus on pulling it and getting it out of the yard. He can do a number of things, right? Because he is proficient at what he is doing. All right. The other thing I want to kind of talk about with Arenado here is when he goes into the ball, I want you to watch the legs kind of snap together. So look at his right thigh and his left thigh. So his front leg and his back leg kind of coming together. All right. And he does this at a time where he wants to pour on the power. He's like, I gotta, now's go time. Smash. Boom. So you'll see this in a lot of great hitters, and it is a good move, and it's something you can, look for in your swings. It is a power source. So if you can get those legs kind of snapping together, I'm not sure what a biomechanical guy would say about it, but I see this in a lot of great hitters. I recognize what this does for pop and snap, right at the impact zone. So good job there. The thing I would probably critique and say I'd like to see him get better at is he does a great job flattening the bat and getting on plane. So you see that looks like his left forearm is proactively rolling up, making his left hand palm down, and consequently, as his elbow kind of gets into his side, the elbow pointing down gets his top hand or his right hand skyward. Bottom line is he's on plane pretty early, right? And he's on plane really beautifully. Note, though, the distance his elbow is from his hip or from his right side. It's pretty connected there. That means his arm is dragged across his chest, and he's in a position where now if he just rotated into impact, he'd be in a great position. But from here, I get the sense, just visually, that he's now focused on, okay, I'm on plane. Now I'm going to take my hands and the bat barrel straight to the ball. I'm not a big advocate of that. But see if you can pick up on that. It almost looks like he's pulling the bat out into the ball. Consequently, he gets into an impact position, or right here, right before impact, where he's got some extension. His lead arm or his left arm is pretty far away from his chest and disconnected, and his elbow is no longer near his side. He could bring this back another 6, 8, 10, 12 inches and get out maybe in this area here. He'd be in a more connected position. What that would do for him is twofold. He'd buy himself another foot or two to hit the ball. Well, maybe not two, but a foot anyway. He'd get to see the ball longer. He doesn't have to make contact so far out in front of himself. And it would stabilize the bat at impact where his elbow and basically his right bicep closer to his right side. So I don't really love this impact position. I do think he was in a great position to deliver that rotation only move here. Again, because his elbow's kind of aligned with his side and his other arm is draped across his chest. I think he just needs to turn and just smash into it. But he does look like he kind of throws the hands out towards the ball. Now, I believe that your hands should eventually disengage and go towards the ball, but only when your body stops rotating. His body is continuing to rotate. So it rotates right here. He's in good position. Watch his body still rotate, yet he throws his hands and arms out to the ball. I'd like to see the body rotate into a good position like he's got here, and then at some point in time, maybe when these two thighs start coming together, that tells the bat to, hey, spring out there and go. I just think he goes very early, and I don't think it should be an intentional or a conscious move. So once you get that bat slotted and you get in a pretty good position and you're connected, you got your lead arm across your chest, or in this case across your shoulders because if it's a high pitch, and he's got that right elbow up against the side and kind of connected. At this point, your body should stop rotating and your hands and arms should take over when it feels right. The earlier you are on the pitch, maybe you're a little too early. You would keep that connection for a very long time and then just extend the arms out like you see Arenado doing here. If you were late, you would just keep it connected and you can turn the bat right into the zone. And again, you're going to make contact back here as opposed to way up in front of you. That's a way to get to a ball perhaps you're a little bit late on. You can't get to that late ball unless you slot the bat beautifully like he does here, though. And he is slotted. He's in a great position. On that note, I want to bring up a couple lines. So basically, he enters the zone in about this neighborhood here, frame or so in front of that maybe. So he can hit the ball when it's behind him. That's how early he is slotted and on plane. I believe if he just continued to rotate from here, he'd be fine. He elects to use the hands and arms to kind of swing out to the ball. It looks to me like it's a little manufactured, and he does it almost like intentionally. I prefer to see it just kind of happen subconsciously. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is, and his hands and arms just go early. But anyway, not a game of perfect by any stretch. He's starting to disconnect already here away from his chest. Not terrible, not dead, just going a little bit early, I think. Anyway, he's on plane. He's in good shape. You can see the arc of that yellow line is slightly upward. I always talk about that. Pitches coming down at 4, 5, 6, 7 degrees. Why don't we swing up at 4, 5, 6, 7 degrees like he's doing here? That gives us the best odds to be in the zone an extremely long time. And this guy's in the zone forever. Okay, he's in the zone here. He's going to hit the ball hard, probably lower to the right side, maybe even foul. He's going to catch it from anywhere from here forward. He's going to hit it hard and hit it to center field or pull it. So great bat control. Great swing path and plane through the ball. And that happens because of what he does back here by kind of pointing that right elbow instead of back towards the catcher or towards the dugout. At this point, when he heel plants, he's going to start immediately then working it so it's pointing downward here. In addition to that, it looks like he's rolling his forearms. And he's kind of what I call sliding the bat. Today's the guys are all calling it turning the barrel. So whatever you want to call it, when I say slot the bat, I mean the same thing that the other guys, the younger guys are saying, turning the barrel, turning it down, whatever you want to call it. He's getting it on plane. That's what I'm saying. And then from here, again, he's on plane. He just turns through it. Again, he uses a little bit of those hands and arms to extend out into contact. And then the famous right hand underneath, well past the impact. And then even he does roll it a little bit there. All right. So I hope you picked a little something up. I hope it was helpful. I don't mean to be so hard on Nolan Arenado. It's really what he does extremely well is a little bit unique, and it frustrates me a little bit when I see guys misusing what he's doing. And I do see a lot of it at the gym and at the cages. So anyway, thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. Once again, Joe Colucci with the baseballswing.com. Please like and subscribe. It does help us grow the channel. And check out the website, thebaseballswing.com. Till we see you next time, adios.